A boy is born into disgrace, rejected by his own people, mocked, exiled, and left with almost nothing. Yet within a few decades, that same boy would build one of the most feared military machines Africa had ever seen. His armies would conquer vast territories. Entire kingdoms would collapse. Millions would be forced to flee, and the map of southern Africa would be transformed forever. This is the story of Shaka Zulu, the warrior who turned a small clan into an empire and changed history in the process. Long before he became a king, Shaka was an outcast. Born around 1787, he was the son of Senzangakona, chief of the small Zulu clan. But there was a problem. His parents were not married. In a society where lineage determined status, Shaka's birth became a source of humiliation. His mother, Nandi, faced ridicule, and young Shaka grew up surrounded by rejection. Eventually, mother and son were forced into exile. For years, they wandered between settlements, surviving on the margins of society. The experience left scars, and according to later accounts, it also forged the relentless determination that would define Shaka's life. The boy nobody wanted was learning how cruel the world could be. One day, he would make the world fear him instead. As a young man, Shaka joined the army of the powerful Mfecane Confederacy. Led by Chief Dingiswayo, the Confederacy was one of the strongest political forces in the region. For the first time in his life, Shaka found purpose. He quickly gained a reputation for bravery. But what truly set him apart wasn't strength. It was observation. He studied everything: how warriors fought, how armies moved, why battles were won, and why they were lost. Most warfare at the time relied on throwing spears from a distance. Battles often ended quickly. Casualties were relatively low. Shaka saw a weakness. If warriors were trained to fight up close, they could destroy their enemies before they had time to react. The idea would change warfare forever. In 1816, Shaka seized control of the Zulu clan. At the time, the Zulu were small and politically insignificant. Few could have imagined what would happen next. Shaka completely reinvented his army. The traditional throwing spear was replaced with a shorter stabbing weapon, known as the Ikalwa. Instead of attacking from a distance, warriors would charge directly into enemy lines. Training became brutal. Soldiers marched for miles barefoot across rough terrain. Discipline was absolute. Cowardice was punished harshly. And slowly, the Zulu army became something entirely new. A professional fighting force unlike anything Southern Africa had seen before. But Shaka's greatest innovation wasn't a weapon, it was strategy. He developed a battle tactic known today as the bullhorn formation. The center of the army, the chest, would engage the enemy directly. Meanwhile, two flanking forces, the horns, would sweep around the sides. Their mission was simple: surround the enemy, cut off escape, and destroy them completely. Behind them stood the loins, a reserve force waiting to exploit weaknesses. The tactic was devastating. Again and again, opposing armies found themselves trapped, unable to retreat, unable to regroup, unable to survive. Kingdom after kingdom fell before the advancing Zulu war machine. As Shaka expanded his power, the consequences spread far beyond the Zulu kingdom. Defeated groups fled. Entire communities migrated across vast distances. Old kingdoms collapsed. New kingdoms emerged. This period became known as the Mfecane, the crushing, a time of chaos and transformation that reshaped southern Africa. Some fleeing leaders established powerful new states, including Mzilikazi, who founded the Ndebele kingdom far to the north. The ripple effects of Shaka's campaigns reached hundreds of miles beyond his borders. Few individuals in African history have altered an entire region so dramatically. Yet Shaka's greatest threat would not come from an enemy army. It would come from within. In 1827, tragedy struck. Shaka's mother, Nandi, died. The woman who had endured exile beside him. The woman who had believed in him when nobody else did. Her death devastated him. Accounts describe a ruler consumed by grief. Some stories claim he ordered harsh punishments and extreme mourning rituals throughout the kingdom. Whether every story is true remains debated, but one thing is clear. The stability of his rule began to weaken, and those closest to him saw an opportunity. On September 22, 1828, Shaka was killed, not by a rival king, not by a foreign army, but by his own half-brothers, Mfecane and Malangana. Together with a trusted advisor named Mbopa, they assassinated the king at his royal residence. The man who had conquered kingdoms could not survive betrayal. His reign ended after only 12 years, but the world he created would outlive him. Nearly 2 centuries later, Shaka remains one of the most influential figures in African history. To some, he was a military genius, a visionary who united scattered communities into a powerful kingdom. To others, he was a ruthless conqueror whose campaigns caused immense suffering. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. What cannot be denied is his impact. Before Shaka, the Zulu were a small clan. After Shaka, they were a kingdom that commanded the attention of an entire region. His military innovations are still studied today. His name remains a symbol of Zulu identity, and his story continues to fascinate historians around the world, because the boy who was once rejected by everyone ended up changing Southern Africa forever. History remembers kings. History remembers conquerors. But every so often, history remembers someone who changes the rules entirely. Shaka Zulu was one of those people, and his legacy still echoes across Africa today. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more untold stories from African history, because some of the most important chapters of the past are the ones the world rarely talks about.